is good with you? It is your boy Travis Kinley coming back to you with another one. So this morning I've been thinking about this idea of quiet quitting. Now, if you're not familiar with what quiet quitting is this idea that, you know, if you're not happy at your job and maybe your supervisor doesn't appreciate what you do, or they're not paying you enough, instead of bringing that same level of work ethic that you've been bringing, instead of working hard, instead of like grinding, showing up early and so on, teamwork, all of that, instead what you're going to do is do the absolute minimum that you need to do in order to perform your job. You're not going to do anything more. You're going to show up right as soon as you need to show up. You are never willing to do anything that you are not getting paid for. Meaning, if someone says, hey man, will you just like throw this trash out before you head out, and you're like, well, that's going to put me 3 minutes over the time I'm supposed to clock out, are you paying me overtime? Right? Like, you come with that sort of attitude. You're never willing to just teamwork makes the dream work type of thing. And the quiet quitting is this idea that you're going to come with that approach. You are going to do the absolute minimum in order to perform at your job. I've seen quiet quitting on TikTok. I've seen quiet quitting on kind of national and regional news network channels. And it's almost like people are finding this freedom through quiet quitting, where I don't have to, you know, continue putting forth all this effort if you're still going to pay me $12 an hour. Anyways, there's really no reason for me to put forth all this effort. I think quiet quitting is an absolute absurd idea. I think it's a terrible idea. I think anybody who quiet quits is responding emotionally to the situation. Nevertheless, 3 reasons why quiet quitting is a bad idea. First reason quiet quitting is a bad idea. Quiet quitting is a bad idea because it doesn't actually get you wherever it is you're trying to go. Okay, now some of this leans on some presuppositions, so let's just show my cards right now. Presuppositions are, if you applied for this job, you desire for this job to take you somewhere. There's something that initially you believe this job could offer you, and you are trying to milk that cow for that purpose, whether it is money, whether it is networking, whether it leads you to your next job, whether it pays your bills while you're in college, whatever the case may be, you applied for this job for a specific reason. Quiet quitting does not get you to that goal. Quiet quitting doesn't get you to that goal. Okay, where does quiet quitting actually lead you to? Okay, you're not going to find much network out of quiet quitting, because your supervisor and everybody who sees your work ethic is going to talk about you in that manner. No matter who you try to network with, they're going to ask about you to other people who work with you daily, and those people are not really going to have anything good to say about you. You start messing up your reputation. You can no longer get a good reference for the next job. They're going to say like, well, where you been working for the past 2.5 years? What are you going to tell them? Are you going to tell them? Right? Sure. Now it's like, oh, it's unlawful for people to talk about, you know, certain things whenever they call for an employer reference. Yeah. All right. Take that to court. I'm the type of person that I really promote this idea of goal-oriented decisions. Don't make a decision without understanding where you're trying to go. Don't make a decision without having a specific goal in mind. Otherwise, you don't really understand whether or not that decision is helpful for you. You can't really understand if that decision is something that's really going to benefit your life or not. Outside of your goals, what context do you place your decisions in? Your immediate feelings, your emotions? Yeah, well, that's where quiet quitting came from. It's an emotional response. Right? It's a response of revenge. That's what quiet quitting is. It's a response of revenge, okay? It's not going to take you anywhere. I don't understand what success people see out of quiet quitting. It's stupid. So first reason is because where is it going to take you, dude? Identify one of your goals and tell me how quiet quitting takes you there. Very interested to hear. Drop it in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe whatever goal it is just not the type of goal that I would have. And nothing wrong with that. We all have different goals. But first reason quiet quitting is absurd is because it doesn't actually take you anywhere. Reason number 2 why quiet quitting makes no sense at all is just kind of absurd, okay? And this reason is really just for Christians only. If you're not a Christian, hold other Christians accountable. But in the book of Colossians chapter 3 verse 23, it says, whatever you are doing, work at it with enthusiasm as to the Lord. Or a paraphrase would be, as if you are doing it for the Lord and not for people. I continue, and not for people, because you know that you will receive your inheritance from the Lord as the reward. Serve the Lord Christ, flipping the page, serve the Lord Christ, for the one who does wrong will be repaid for his wrong, and there are no exceptions. Whatever you are doing, work at it with enthusiasm as if you are doing it for the Lord and not for people. So quiet quitting does not work toward that end. It doesn't work toward that end. So now, first, not only does it not work toward your specific goals, quiet quitting does not work toward a Christian moral end. So if you're not a Christian, you can't say quiet quitting is actually benefiting me unless your goals are something extremely different from anything that I could possibly imagine right now. And if you are a Christian, you can't even say like God is calling me to quiet quit. You know what I mean? You have no biblical foundation for this idea of quiet quitting. God expects us to work as if we are doing it for him and not for our supervisor and not for whomever it is, as if we are doing it for him and not even for ourselves. Not even for ourselves, right? Because quiet quitting really is rooted in either you see yourself as doing it for the supervisor, or you see yourself as doing it for yourself, and you have decided that it doesn't work toward any sort of end. It doesn't really work toward a solid end for yourself, and it doesn't even work toward like a Christian moral standpoint. It's like God really expects, like if you're a janitor, God expects you to clean as if you're cleaning God's house, right? Yeah, if you're a truck driver, God is expecting you to drive your freight as if the delivery point is in heaven itself. That freight is his. Deliver it, right? Whatever you do, God expects you to do it as if you are doing it for him and not for other people. As if there is no customer, there is no, it's just him. Would you quiet quit on God and expect something solid to come out of it, right? Like come on, man. It doesn't work toward a great end on the Christian side either, okay? That's reason number 2. Reason number 1, because it doesn't make sense for yourself. Reason number 2, because you have no biblical standing if you're a Christian. So what are you talking about, right? What's reason number 3? Let's get to it. Okay, so the third reason why quiet quitting is slightly absurd is because you don't live free. And that really bothers me, okay? There's no freedom in quiet quitting. There's this perceived freedom that, now you can do whatever you want to do. You're going to do just the minimum, and you're not going to bring because you're in control, and so on and so on and so on. But that freedom is false. There's no freedom in quiet quitting. There's no freedom at all. The freedom that you think you feel is not actually freedom, because indeed you're still working there. You are only responding to a situation. Right? So who's really in control? It's kind of like my mom used to say, he who angers you controls you. So who is really in control? If they, if you didn't make this really freely on your own accord, who's really in control? You see, there's no freedom in quiet quitting. But if you look at working, doing everything that you do as if you're doing it for God himself, there's actual freedom in that, because it frees you from responding to an employer, responding to a customer, responding to how someone else makes you feel by changing your work ethic. And it says, instead of responding to them, respond to only that which is absolutely true. Now, it's not like you got to keep that job. That's not what I'm saying at all. As a matter of fact, what I'm saying is that's another thing you can do that actually makes you free, instead of, just staying there and quiet quitting. Go find another job, man. Act like there's no jobs out here. There's so many jobs out here. Go find another job. You don't have to stay anywhere. You don't have to do anything. If you're going to quiet quit and find another job, you might as well keep the same effort, so at least no one can slander your name. Like, no one can drag your name through the dirt after you leave. It's like, nah, cuz I did. No. I kept it A+ until the moment I walked out, right? But with quiet quitting, you can't even gain that. So why quiet quit? It's an emotional response. Don't emotionally respond to things like that. Okay, quiet quitting is stupid. Live free, man. Don't live free, man. Live free. You already know what the motto is. Work hard, play hard, sleep hard, find you somebody to love. I love y'all. Don't forget, it's not about what you believe. It's all about why you believe it. Live free.